Live. And we are back. Another shit happens. Oh my god. So today is February, 1st of February, Black History Month. I'm black as fuck, proudly. So it's only right that I had to launch Shit Happens on the 1st of February. And I got to do it with the beautiful Queen Victoria in the morning. And I get to do it with an incredible king this afternoon. What better way to start what better way to start Black History Month? Now, by the way, yeah, talk about commitment and consistency. I'm on the car right now, stuck in traffic. I'm not in my studio, but we're still gonna do this. Because you know what? Shit happens. I'm gonna go ahead and bring on the incredible one and only Walter. Welcome to
Me.
Shit Happens.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is my first time doing a live to Instagram from like one of these broadcast apps. So yeah, appreciate you welcoming to this.
Then you know what? Well, now it's my second because I did in the morning, but today is also my first time. I've never live broadcasted. Like
Okay.
we're starting ugly, right?
Doing historical things on Black History Month, day one. Let's do it. Let's get it.
Exactly, exactly. So how are you feeling? What I know I was just with you last week. How are you feeling? Are you
Oh man.
recovered?
Yeah, fully recovered back in it. Didn't really have a choice to, get recovered or not. I just got to get into it. But yeah, it was cool seeing you in action once again. If y'all didn't know, Paula is, the queen of these podcast events. When you see her at one of them, she's all over the place. Everybody knows her. Everyone's like, Paula, what's good? What's happening? So good to see you. She's just walking on Randy. What's up, hon? How you doing? Love. Oh my God, so great to see. She knows everybody. She knows everybody. She's not your ambassador yet, paid ambassador yet. Y'all better, hit her cash app, hit the Venmo, hit the invoice, get her some money. But yeah,
Right? Make it happen, make it happen. But it was
make it
so
happen.
good. It was so good to see. And it's funny because we both live in Atlanta, but we first met like at a pod tour, then Afros and Algiers all the way in Baltimore, and
Right.
then Podfest all the way in Orlando.
Yeah. Everywhere but Atlanta.
Everywhere but Atlanta. But hopefully
Hmm.
this year, this month, because on the 29th of February, I'm hosting
I'm there.
an Atlanta meetup. So I actually have a meeting this week to finalize shit so we can have that time and start letting people know their location and everything. But that's gonna
Putting
be
it
exciting.
on my
29,
calendar
it's
right
gonna be on the
now.
29th. I think it's the last day of February.
That's right. And then Black History Month with you.
Thursday and ending on a Thursday. I was like, what better way to close the damn month? So I need
The
all my
best
black
way.
Atlanta faces to show up and turn out.
Gots to do it.
Now, speaking of community, right? Because most of the time I've met you, it's been in the community surrounding, and you are an advocate for
Hmm.
community, especially a community advocate, especially for us, our people, the Black people. We need all the advocating in this community. So, what got you
Mhm.
into the? And I figured that would be a nice conversation to have since it's Black History Month. We are black as fuck, and I wanted to know what made you, because not everybody who is black roots for the black community or advocates for them. Some people just advocate
Mm.
for themselves. So what got you into the space like I need to advocate for my own people, for me and my own people, because you could advocate for yourself only.
That's a good question. Yeah, because I advocate for others more than myself. That's for sure. I'm working on that. Working on that. But first thing that popped in my mind is my mom. Got to give her credit, of course, the creator. But I grew up in a community that she created. She's a big advocate for when it comes to parenting and stuff. That it takes a village to raise a child. But she just brings that to everything. She had a school, a Montessori school that she started in Charleston, South Carolina, had, children and families from all backgrounds. She made sure that there were financial options available so people who couldn't necessarily afford or traditionally afford a private school could still get in there at no extra cost. So yeah, just kind of grew up in her intentional community that she built. So I think it just that type of mindset's ingrained. I played team sports, and in those sports, you could be the best player, but you're only as strong as your quote unquote weakest player.
The team.
So just always in that mindset
Mhm.
of community and building with people. When it comes to advocating for Black spaces, I would say that I think at first I didn't know it was just a me thing, or I didn't know it was like really like some of the things I tackle. I thought I was the only one who experienced it. I'll say that. And then when I got to asking people about it, I started to realize that others experience these things as well. So the very first thing that I tackled was natural hair in professional environments. So before the Crown Act came along, just creating a lot of content around that, and now it's huge campaigns going on. So still advocating, but now because there's so many other people in that space pushing for it, policymakers, influencers, all these different people with large platforms, I get to focus in on areas that don't get as much attention, or I just want to tackle things from a specific standpoint. So that's podcasters, that's people who income equality across the whole community. Those are kind of the couple of things that I'm pushing for right now.
I love that, and that's the thing, right? Like even me before podcasting, I really like. Yes, there's communities, there's being part of community, but I don't know if I really felt as much as when I started joining the podcasting communities, and because it drove me to other communities, not just podcasting. Like you find
Mhm.
your people who invite you to other communities that belong to you, but it also where you said where most of the time we think we're the only ones dealing with this shit. Also, sometimes we feel like I don't want to talk about it because maybe I'll be judged of how I'm feeling or I'm going through this. But then
Mhm.
once you start talking about it, you're like, oh my God, I really am not the only one in this. Those spaces where they can give me the support. People don't understand how much support comes in being part of a community or giving back to a community.
Yeah. That's facts. By the way, I just gotta say, you look real fancy right now. You look like you getting like driven around Paris or New York. You got the fur on and all that stuff in the backseat. Like, yes, darling, yes, community. Talk to me.
Listen,
What's at the world issue?
listen,
Hey.
listen. Okay.
Hmm.
What I'm telling you, he was getting his shit right too while we were backstage. I had to put it on as well. You know, you can't be
You
the
had
only
to
one
do
looking good, water.
it.
Plus, it's Black History Month. We are black
Black
folks.
History Month.
We gotta look. You know, our
Gotta
best.
show up.
Fresh as a miss. Oh my God, fresh as a miss. Okay. So, speaking of communities, right? Okay. Y'all, can y'all hold on 1 minute? I've reached, but I'm just gonna get out of the way so I can talk to you.
Absolutely.
Like Atlanta weather is hopping right now. Nitakuta ndani. So I must sit right here and finish this conversation before I go back inside to do what I was gonna do. So
Okay, before you have your dinner with the Obamas.
you know,
Yeah.
you gotta. Oh my God! Even the lighting works for me. Look at
There we
this.
go.
So one thing I want to say, sometimes people feel like belonging in a community or showing up for your community. I think in our mindset we are always about what do I get? What if I come? What am I getting? What's gonna
Hmm.
get me? Like and I have been showing up for Podfest. And even when we met, you remember when I was talking about you, you're like, man, the way you're talking about it, I really need to make sure I come. And
Yeah.
then, but it's not until you're there and you feel that vibe, like literally the even if I didn't have to be there, the entire vibe of that community just makes you realize, like, oh my God. And then I do all these things out of love, not that like, oh my God, I'm expecting a gift or anything. And I got awarded. Yes, I got awarded a community hero award. Not that I knew, not that I was asking for it, but it shows that people are watching, people are seeing you. And sometimes that's the biggest reward ever, to be seen. Because there's nothing like doing shit and nobody's seeing.
Right. Yeah.
So with you and community, and I know you started also because of work your podcast. Let's talk about your podcast. You had a podcast where you were black workspaces and black hair. Why was that important for you?
Because I graduated the same year that these U.S. courts ruled that companies can legally dismiss a job applicant just based on something like hair. They said it's not tied to race. So basically, that told me that me with locks, I don't know if y'all can see him, but
Oh yeah.
locks. If I was applying to a job, I could be the perfect candidate, and they could be like, "Yeah, you get this job if you cut them." They could legally do that. So, I was getting a lot of advice to cut my locks as I was graduating. Before that, I always got praised for them by everybody. So when I was trying to figure out, okay, I want to get, fresh out of college, trying to, pay back these student loans, trying to afford life. I just knew that I just didn't want to cut the locks, even though that meant that I wouldn't get a job. So I just started asking people like, how can I do both? How can I be me? Because I knew like if someone had a problem with my locks, then they probably had a problem with me just as a black person as well. So I'm like, yo, I'm not about to fall into that trap and then still be in an
Hmm.
environment where I'm not accepted. So I just wanted to ask people questions, and it was literally me just trying to figure life out. So I was just encouraged to do something with it. And so that's what created the podcast, a space that proved that natural hair and professionalism could coexist. And that led me to unexpectedly led me to, not the Breakfast Club, didn't get an invite there, but I did get to speak with people all around the world. This lady who's like the face of the peaceful nuclear movement in South Africa, a black woman with locks, just people and all who have just experienced all these things. And I wanted to show people that we're out here thriving regardless of what they say. So, because yeah, the whole proving that these things exist, you would think, yeah, proving to white people, proving to hiring managers, and yeah, that's a piece of it. But really, I wanted to prove to us because, I'm not really in the business to change other people's minds, just really kind of show different perspectives. And if we could see us thrive in these spaces against the odds, that's going to do a lot for how we just view ourselves and treat others as well.
I love that. I'm not trying to change your mind, but I'm gonna educate you.
Yeah, you decide if you want to change your mind. That's not my problem.
Exactly. And it's funny because you remember there was that time where people, even if you had a tattoo, you're not gonna get hired. You had to hide your tattoo, like put a
Right.
makeup on, or and then now you find people with tattoos all over. About this.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone with the tattoo.
I know, right? But it's somehow that got accepted, but the locks, because even a few, was it a year ago or just last year, kids were being refused to walk the stage because they had locks to graduate. Some kid was not allowed to do his swimming
Oh
team
yeah.
because of
A
locks.
month ago, a student was suspended because of a new rule that was put in place in their high school that said, you can't have your locks lower than your ears, or whatever, for men. So yeah, it's still happening. It's crazy. It's like they already had that whole huge campaign for another student who was suspended in Texas years ago, and then boom, they just did it again, and they defended the decision. This guy put out like a whole ad in the newspaper defending the decision to suspend this student. It's wild out there. It's wild out there.
It really is, because what does luck have to do with my brain or the way I dress or the way I do my job or anything, right? If we can
Hmm.
hire people who have tattoos covered up all over, like there's some people, no offense, I'm a tattoo person. I have almost 70, but there's some
Okay.
people they have tattoos all over, like and they're the first entrance. If they can get that, and my locks, and most people with locks, that's the beautiful thing. They keep them clean, like they're neat and clean and tight. So what does it matter? Like
Hmm.
i'm I met these guys at Podfest, and their podcast is more than a title, and we had a conversation. We're like, yeah, we are more than a title, we are more than our skin, we are more than our hair, we are
Hmm.
more than all that. And I feel like maybe that's why I love being a part of communities where you find people who literally don't care how you dress or how you look. They really care about who are you. And
Yeah,
that's why also showing authentically is important, because then if you're not being authentically you, then who are you?
that's a bar. That's a gem. That's a takeaway. Shout out to all the communities and people showing up as them as needed. And also in doing that, like Paula, you out here being you kind of encouraging other people to be out there being them as well, especially for people maybe it's their first time. Seeing people who are just authentically unapologetically them, it helps someone feel a little more comfortable, kind of let that shyness wear off. Like, okay, you know what? I see people doing here. It could be safe here. Or the opposite, we're like, it's not safe here, but at least they know. So it kind of helps people to live their truth. Shout out to Cat Williams. It's the year of living in truth.
That's not true, because even when I was doing my presentation, because
Hmm.
I always apologize in advance, because I do cuss, and sometimes it's not that I cuss because I love cussing. When I get passionate about what I'm talking about, the fuck just comes. Like, I don't mean it to come, but it's
Yeah.
just
I was
like
about
I'm
to ask, what's
passionate.
your go-to cuss word? What's is it for?
It's always fuck, like
Mm.
fuck. And then it's also shit, because again, that's why shit is always like shit or fuck. Because I started saying shit, trying to not say fuck, because people were more over the fuck, but then apparently shit is also as worse.
Yeah,
So I was
shit's
like,
lower on the damn pull. Fuck is top notch. I mean, there's others that are higher up, but fuck is like the last one. Like, damn, oh man,
right?
she said
But
what? Yeah, that's what
but
that
then
is.
when I was on the stage and I did my presentation, because I was in my moment, the presentation was also about my mental health and community and support system. So I was really talking from the heart and everything. And then when I left the stage, this almost 80-year-old lady, I think she was in her 80s or 70s, she was walking with a stick, Miss Elaine. She's incredible. Just saying, hi, so cool to catch you guys live. Hi, Pika. Oh, finally. Somebody's there leaving comments. This is my first
Hey,
comment.
what's up,
So
Pika?
so when I was leaving, I was standing with Mark, right? So I thought maybe that lady was coming to talk to Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, I'm sorry, can I disturb you? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll let you guys talk. She was like, no, I want to talk to you. I was like, oh, what's that? This is how humbling I am, right? Because I'm with Mark, and Mark does a lot more
Yeah,
better
shout
shit
out to
than I
Mark.
do. I know, right? So I'm there like, yeah, what's up? She's like, I just want to say, you fucking killed that shit. I was like, wait, what? Did you just fucking?
Me?
And she used the fucking word. I was the cuss. No, anybody who doesn't cuss, I don't trust. I was like, right,
Oh man,
but
it rhymes, so you know it's true. If you can make something rhyme, then it's law.
but that also made me sure that you go to places where I am told you're too loud, you're too much, you're too
Mm.
hyper, you're too energetic. But then I'm at places where I'm at podcast and I'm awarded for that shit. So it shows you how important belonging in the right community is. Like, there's a community for everybody. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to allow yourself to be yourself, so people can take you as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And people will tell you, you have met me 3 times now in different spaces. I'm always on the same. Like, I'm not a different person who was at Afros compared to who was at Podfest or was at um Port Atlanta. Just that
Mm-hmm.
Afros, I was still new. I didn't know many people. Port First, I've been going 3 years, so I know a
You
lot
already
of
know
people.
how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, so that one was new, but my energy, my level was still
Oh, so
there.
you
I
about
was
to
still,
turn up harder this year in Baltimore at the
oh,
next Afro
oh,
Audio.
yeah, we're bringing it now that I know everybody. And because also some of them came to Port First, so we were like, oh my God, we see each other again. So it's like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I like to go to these communities, because you get to know them, and then you
Yeah.
build, after seeing them, you build those personal relationships, whether it's just in podcasting, whether it goes deeper to personal, whether, but it grows. So the next time you meet again, it's like, hey fam, what do you do?
No,
So
that's real.
Walter, um with you also ended up doing some cool shit with LinkedIn, because everybody tells me Walter is the master, the king of LinkedIn. I don't know if you know Raf. You do know Raf, White Label America. That
Oh
boy,
yeah.
I don't know what you paid that Nigerian man to be raising praises on you, but
Blackmail. I don't pay him, just blackmail. Just
you know,
blackmail.
Raf works in tips, so I'm not sure about that. But tell us about the incredible stuff you were able to achieve at LinkedIn. Because again, I'm trying to get better at LinkedIn, and I know most of us Black people have been sleeping on LinkedIn. But then you meet people and they tell you how much success or how much you can grow in the community in LinkedIn. Because I've seen people get invited. You were invited to LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Like, it shows that LinkedIn is a community that also sees and pulls you in. So I want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think for everyone who's trying to figure out LinkedIn or is like, not for me. LinkedIn is like I would describe it in like three words: economic impact and community. And I say those three words because that's the words that I heard people who work at LinkedIn use pretty often in some meetings and stuff like that. So I was invited to be in the really I applied to be in the Creator Accelerator program, LinkedIn in 2022 or 2021. They announced that they're going to invest like 1 million into the creator community, the creator economy. They're like, yo, we're the home too, right? So they launched their first ever Creator Accelerator program. It was a US based program where they were going to select 100 participants to participate. So, they were flooded with, and I've applied to stuff before. I've rarely got stuff I applied to. So I applied to it with the help of a friend of mine, shout out to Sean McDaniel, to be in it. And I wasn't sure if they were going to accept me, right? My whole creator journey up to that point had just been me trying to figure things out and also growing my own confidence. So this like when I first created content, I was hiding behind the camera. My guest was the focus. So this would have been the first time that I was front and center. That was terrifying to me, but I applied anyways. So I applied with my podcast as an inspiration to create this new series called Working While Black, and I was accepted. And basically they wanted the world to know that LinkedIn is the place for creators and a place for community, and for everyone who's there. Basically, they're looking for different things, but they all could be summed up to economic impact, whether it's learning how to grow as an entrepreneur, to grow in their career, or just learn some skill that can help them continue to make an economic impact in their own lives. So when I'm speaking to people, on LinkedIn, sometimes their content might not fit necessarily what you think would belong there, but I just kind of remind people, just think about that first and then seeing how your content can fit in there, and you'll be straight. So yeah, Paula. I mean, there's LinkedIn is a place where you can see everything from like black people calling out corporations and leader of corporations on LinkedIn, and those same people they're calling out will see it. They might not engage with it, but they'll see it. That's what's kind of unique about that platform versus others. So yeah, this is it's a cool opportunity. My first big content contract type of thing, brand deal sort of thing. And yeah, it's really just changed my perspective on the creator economy.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
And something you said over there, which I also, for a longest time, had an issue with. I think now my ego is a little bit bigger after Podfest.
I hope so.
And
Just don't go full Kanye. That's the only thing I ask of you. Because after that, I'll still let people know I know you and that we've collab together. But I can't be like, I don't know. She don't.
I mean,
Don't go full Kanye.
there's some versions of Kanye, just not full on Kanye, but there's some
We
versions
all got a little bit. We all should
yes,
have a little
we
bit.
should all have. There's a reason that man was a genius for a while. There's something in there, but just sometimes I think it slips on the wrong side or something. But when you say that when you apply, you weren't even sure you will get it, or you didn't think you were that good enough because you were still figuring it out. I think that's what ends up stopping a lot of us into going for shit because we have that in our head, right? When I
Oh
applied the
yeah.
first time to speak at Podfest, I was like, I'm just new. It's just been 1 year with my podcast. I don't know shit. Why are they gonna pick me over all these people who apply? And I was literally applying to learn to get the word no because I was like, if I'm gonna be in this space, I need to get used to hearing no and still keep pushing because there are gonna be a lot of no's and I have to be okay with that. So I applied with
Mhm.
that mindset and I ended up getting it. And I was like, oh, fuck. So now I really got to present. Like, God damn it. And then,
Right.
right, like now I got to do the damn thing. I wasn't prepared for this.
On the same
But
stage with people who the big dogs out there, the people you follow, ended up being in the same program you on the same stage as you are. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Every
yeah,
time it's like always go to.
and I started with case study. I went to panel, which pushed me to moderating a panel at Afros and Algers, something I've never done. And then from there, I went to speaking on the main stage this year at Podfest with a lot of people in that room.
Afros
And
and
for some,
audio. That was the first time you had done something like that.
moderating a panel, I'd never moderated a panel.
Oh
I've
man,
been
you
in a
killed it
panel, but
too.
I've never moderated.
You killed it. It's a different type of pressure.
It is. It really is because you have to really pay attention to everybody and interject on the question to the next. Like if I'm just being
Yeah,
asked, if I'm in a panel and somebody's asking me a question, I don't have to listen to other people. I just get to me and say my shit, and that's fine. But
yeah.
when you're
One time I was moderating a panel, right? And when I moderate, I try to, the speakers are there, like I want them to, speak and everything, but also I pay attention to the audience because I like to make sure they're involved with it too and cater things around. So one time I asked a question, I was gonna scan in the audience to see like how they're feeling, and I realized the person was like finishing up speaking. I was like, I don't know what they just said. I don't know what the fuck is happening. Oh my god. Oh shit, damn. I'm just thinking like, oh man, what's in my notes? And then I get nervous, so I can't read my notes because my eyes going everywhere. But I just kind of pivoted real quick, like, y'all clap that up real quick.
that that was my biggest fear of because I'm also a daydreamer, right? So I can literally
Yeah.
drift off to my own world while people are talking. So that's why even when I was sitting, I didn't sit facing the audience. I was like, they will distract me. And also I brought a white guy in a whole black people panel and we were talking legit black people shit, and I know how he is. I was like, please don't say some shit, cause so it was also that why and then whying of this, and I was like, man. But somehow I was able to engage with the the audience, and I did good, and that gave me that like, yo, at Postfest, I'm gonna apply to be a MC. That's why I MC the track because of that energy, the the growth I left with from Afros and Audios. That's why it also holds a dear to me because that was the first time I did that shit. It was received well, and I'm gonna keep going back because I was like, oh, these are my
Mm-hmm.
people. They didn't let me fail when I was nervous. People like, nah, you got this. Look at you, your energy, like the support, the encouragement, the it was just incredible. And but that's the thing, like we sit there in our head like this Podfest, amazing guy of a friend of mine, Trent. Shout out to Trent out loud. He
Mm,
came all the way from Canada. Me and Trent met because he came on my podcast as a guest. The
nice.
energy vibes. He wanted to start a podcast. He reached out to me.
Oh,
I
you the
set him up.
catalyst.
I set him up. I introduced him to
Okay.
Mark and Adam Shively. I told him about Podfest. I told him about Buzzsprout. I got and when he called me, I was like, I'm coming to Podfest. Is it really worth it? I was like, it is. Come.
Mm-hmm.
And he came, and everybody was meeting. He was telling them, Paula is my mentor. Now I in my head I never thought one day I would be somebody's mentor. Like because look at me, like half of the time I'm just talking shit. I don't even know the shit I'm doing, but I'm just doing. But somebody to think that you're a mentor in something that you don't even think you are good at yet. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're that great. Like why would you think I'm your mentor? But somebody
Right.
you are thinking about yourself like that, but the people who are watching you, they're seeing different things. So sometimes that's what gets in our own way because we have this mentality. I can't be that. I can't be
Yeah.
that. But you're still out there, whether you think you're doing little, you are inspiring somebody, you're motivating somebody, and people are watching, people are seeing.
That's facts. That's facts. Actually, people definitely watching. I was just talking to someone earlier today. And I mentioned going live with you and like, oh Paula, yeah, I saw she was at Podfest. Yeah, your name gets around. And shout out to you for being that mentor at Trent Out Loud. I don't think I actually met him, but I follow him now because of the group chat that was started after Podfest. The Instagram one. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's just really cool. You never know who you're going to help at what point in time in their journey. It's just such a cool moment, right? So you could always think back like, man, I mean, that's actually proof that you know what you're doing, right? Because you're able to
exactly.
give people enough advice or energy to keep them going forward, not hold them back. So yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to you. I think
Thank you
being a
very
mentor
much.
doesn't have to be like you don't have to be a thought leader to be a mentor. You just have to be doing something for real. And you doing something.
Exactly. You just gotta keep on believing in yourself and just keep going, keep learning. And that's why, again, we're
Hmm.
gonna circle back to community. That's why community is important because I belong to Afros, I belong to Black Podcast Association, I belong to Atlanta Podcast, I belong to Podfest. I'm in the Empowered Morning Chat, which shout out to that. I joined that group last year.
Mm.
After Podfest, Mark had asked me, "Can you come to the clubhouse room and share about Podfest?" Because last year I was volunteering, I was doing this. It's like you were doing all this other stuff. I want people to hear on your perspective compared to just us who are visiting and speakers. I was like, cool. I went. I love the energy. I have been going back ever since. It's gonna be. This is like I'm celebrating my 1 year. It's every Monday 7 to 8, which is a commitment. But again, it comes down to how much do you really want to grow in your craft? Because if you do want to
Mm.
grow, you're gonna put discipline, commitment. You're gonna do those things.
Yeah.
And I met Dominic. Shout out to Dominic, 22 award winning monster. Like this man has
Yo,
won
Dominic
22
Lawson.
awards. Like shout out to him. One thing he told me was like, Paula, bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself because who is gonna bet on you if you're not betting on yourself? And when
Hmm.
I interviewed him on my podcast, as soon as he left, I went and applied for an award. It wasn't a big award because I wasn't ready to like. I didn't have the money to invest on these awards because they do cost money.
They do. They
So
definitely do. Yeah.
they're not cheap,
And there's
right?
a lot of awards out there. It adds up.
And they start at 200, 150. Like it's like, damn, okay. So this one was free, whatever. I was like, let me apply. It was just people have to send in votes for you. And I got nominated. I don't know how it ended up. I never had back, but I got nominated. Something that I didn't even think of, something I never thought about applying. But because I had a conversation with Dominic, who I met in the community that I am now, and was like, you gotta bet on yourself, and I went and did. So I think we should stop sleeping on communities, and we should also change our mindset, thinking that, oh, I'm not good enough. Any craft that you're doing, even if there's somebody better than you, everything you have done so far, you have taught yourself, you have grown it, you have worked on it. You are good at it because you're doing it.
Facts. I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you. You can't have a
I
podcast
can
host
I
on
kind of
without
I
me
kind
asking.
of I kind of scared of this question, but go ahead.
Yeah, you know, honing your craft, I think, is super key. I think that's important, especially when you're trying to think about what your trajectory is and where you're going. So I'm curious for you, what would you say is your craft for real?
That is very that's such a good question. My craft is talking shit. I mean, come on, aren't we here
There
talking
we
shit?
go. There we go.
No, to be honest, my craft is just connection. I like connecting people. And
Hmm.
I think my podcast is also gives me that, not only for me to connect people, but to connect myself with people. And then whoever ends up coming, somehow I end up connecting with somebody. If you also see me at podcast or wherever, if I hear somebody and I know they're talking about, I'm like, you gotta meet this one, you gotta meet this one, you gotta work with this one. For me to see the connection I made that comes into something is impressive. Like I was at
Yeah.
podcast when Trent was there, and he was standing next to Adam and Mark. They were meeting for the first time, and they're like, "Oh my God, we all met because of Paula. Paula did the connection," and that just made me
That's beautiful.
like it is. And to see people, whether they work together now or in the future, or they end up having a personal relationship or whatever that comes out for it. I'm a person who, unlike the gatekeepers, I'm not a gatekeeper. I like opening doors and bringing in people. Like whether and I tell people, if I can't do it, if I don't know, trust me, I will connect you to somebody I know who can. And
Mm,
from there, it's on you. So I think that's my craft.
that's beautiful. That's
What's your
beautiful.
craft?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
I'm asking. We gotta bring, and since we are coming to an end, that's how we're gonna end it. So what's your
Okay.
craft, Mr. Walter?
Yeah,
Cause
you know,
you do amazing shit. So what's your craft?
I'm actually deciding what craft I'm perfecting and when. I would say a couple things. The thing I'm focusing on, to be honest, is just the ability to kind of use stories to spark conversations. But really, the result of that is creating resources for Black people. And honestly, those resources are for everyone, but it's just moving intentionally with Black people in mind. So I know I'm launching a podcast this month called the Working While Black Show, and that's something where it's like fully resource driven. I have conversations with people about how they pivoted to working in the podcast industry as a professional. I have conversations with people who've they quit their job to pursue entrepreneurship full time and what it was like building their business while working. Conversation with people who had no college degree but ended up being like in the leadership of a corporation and stuff like that. So just creating these telling these stories from people who are in the black community to us so that we could just kind of build that intentional community. I think my craft, I would say, is creating support systems or just kind of being there as support. Yeah, just really deciding what that thing I want to craft though and hone in on. But that's just what I'm doing right now. It's just building spaces for people to win, people to thrive, you know?
You see, so our craft kind of goes together. Connection, support system. There we go. It
Absolutely.
blends in. And
Absolutely.
I like that you say that, yes, for everybody, but you're focused on, like, mainly also for black people. I remember I was on a live on Tuesday. I normally do say your shit on Tuesday 9 a.m. And I
Mm,
was talking about my podcast experience, right? And just going through the shit, and I was unpacking all the merch and everything that I brought back. I went with one bag, I came back with two bags because of all the shit I came back with from podcast. But then I said something like, I was so happy to see the amount of black people at Podfest this year because I've been going 2 times. This was the biggest crowd I saw. And it just made my heart, because most of us don't hear about this, or like we hear about them too late. So to see that people were able to hear about it and be there and get the same privilege and knowledge that's been thrown, and be in the same room with all these people, was something beautiful for me. Like, I was supposed to be on my shift doing my work, but I was like, nah, I ain't missing these black meetups. I gotta be there. I gotta meet my people.
yeah.
I gotta support. And I was there, and I stayed till the end, and I kept on coming back to see when they were still there and pass by and chill. But I also had some shit to do. So one
Hmm.
person was like, you should be happy. It's that it's a place for everybody. I was like, don't get me wrong. Podfest is a place for everybody. There's the biggest diversity. I didn't say that I don't like it. I've been going and I'm still going. But to see that is beautiful. To see all these black people. So you can hate me for saying that, but I am gonna be happy to see my people all there. Like, there's nothing bad about
Absolutely. Yeah, they feel the
that. Like,
same way if it was reversed, to be honest. So yeah, I think people don't. I think sometimes like there's this idea that just being loud and vocal about wanting a black presence in places, it's just almost like this like the scarcity mindset that kind of triggers within like what you don't want to see, you don't want it to be blah 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 blah. But it's less about that and just more so about making sure that our people are getting
the
same type of
same,
information, same
yes.
access. It's like, it's kind of funny. It's like when we kind of talk about these things, we're really not asking for much at all. We're just like, oh, don't
We just want to
forget
be in the
about us.
room.
Like that's a little
Exactly.
thing to ask, and people go crazy or
We're
think we're
not asking
some
for y'all to
revolutionary. No, it's
we're
just we're
not
just like,
asking for y'all to get a jet and come pick all of us and drop us there.
yeah, if you want
No.
to,
We are
please
there for
do.
it. Please do. Please
But
do.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I don't think it's that. I think it's important for everyone to be represented because the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, following Fred Hampton's story. I didn't know this about him, but he had like members of the Ku Klux Klan marching with him for equality stuff, and that's like, yo, a black man got the Klan to join forces, and what? I mean, that just shows that it's like we're kind of trying to solve a bigger issue, like kind of a deeper issue, doesn't have any race distractions type of thing, like people being mad at you because you look different type of thing. It's like, oh, let's get deeper down to this, like we're all struggling for real. So when we talk about having these inclusive spaces, it's like it's the answer to the struggle that everyone experiences, because what's good for one culture is likely going to be good for another if they
Mm,
are allowed access to that. So
exactly.
yeah.
And that's why whenever, for me, because, well, I have a different love with Podfest, right? I don't go to podcast movement. I've never been. Maybe when I'm on the level where I want my podcast to be, because I know it's much more.
Hey, someone send Paula a cash app. Sponsor her ticket, plane travel. The ticket isn't even the most expensive part, y'all. The hotel. Sponsor that hotel.
Like so, but for me, Podfest, right? Just how welcoming it is to everybody, but just a lot of people don't know how well, like they don't hear about it as much. That's why I always try to shout to my black people, like, you got, I need you all to come to Podfest, because the information is there, the knowledge is there, there's space for y'all, but I need you to show up. And look at us, how we all showed up. And we told Chris, like, we gotta make a black track next year. We gotta do some black stuff. And
Mm,
because we are showing up, we need to show up as well. You can't
yeah.
expect, because if there were only 2 3 people, how are we gonna ask for a black track? But there are only 2 3 black
You
people who
think it'd be
showed
better
up.
to have a black track or have sessions integrated into the other tracks?
I think there should be sessions integrated, because and first of all, I don't think also Podfest is actually gonna do I mean, they could, they wouldn't, because most black speaks English. I remember the only time they did a Spanish track, because people are coming from
I remember that.
Spanish, yeah, because it was
Hmm.
Spanish speaking people who had Spanish podcasts, so that's why they called it the Spanish track, because it
Yeah.
was all Spanish. They couldn't fix it in between English and Spanish. That would make people move around so much, so they
Yeah.
had to create their own track. But I
That was
don't
kind
think
of
it would
cool.
be a black track, but it would be like black information, like,
Hmm.
like a, a stage of melanin and popping, not exactly that, but like where,
Right.
and it was so happy. I saw those 2 boys, I think they were 11, and they were speakers on the stage, and they were the youngest speakers we had the purpose, and they were black. And to see that made my heart happy. So I want to
Mm,
see, and I know this year we had quite a few black speakers, but I want to see more. That's why I'm constantly encouraging people, like, apply to speak. You
yeah.
think you might not have something to share, but if you're sharing anything on your podcast, you have shit to share. If they could give a stage to me, they can give you a stage.
Hey,
Wow.
you top the line though.
Thank you
They
very
had
much.
the honor of giving you a stage. That's what it
Amen.
is.
Amen. See, you should be my hype man, Walt. Like,
I
you
got
know
you.
exactly. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. Before we go, please let the people know all the incredible stuff you do, where they can find you, any upcoming project you have, what we should be looking for, and leave a little advice for people who are struggling to find communities to belong or fit in. Like, what's the best way
Oh.
to go around?
Um, good question, good question, good question. I think like my biggest thing, the biggest lesson that kind of set it off for me is just knowing that I'm not alone. I think we sometimes we feel like we're going through this and that by ourselves, but it's important to reach out when you need help and support with something. I think we all have something. What's funny actually, when I coach people or do any consulting stuff with people, um oftentimes like I'll give them new insights or new ways to do this or approach it this way, but oftentimes when they're telling me what they're going through, what they're kind of trying to figure out, it's like they already have the answer kind of within them. They just need help pulling it out of them. So it's kind of interesting, like we all have this really really dope intuition, or gut, that we just have to learn how to trust. That's something I'm learning as well, real time. So just really knowing that we're not alone and to learn how to trust yourself. You may not have all the answer. You may be wrong, but I think you're going to be better off trusting on yourself. Get a lot more wins than wrongs. I was once told that I could come up with a million reasons why something won't work for me, but I never really put as much effort into thinking about why something will work. So that's
So
what
true.
that's what I'm a that's what I'm a leave with. And you can find me.
Superstar Walt. Yes, that's the
Hey,
superstar over
oh, I think I know what that is. I think that's
there.
Will. Mr. Will Tazzy. What's up, man? That's a real superstar, man. I'm ready for him to pop back out with this podcast. So that's what I think it is. But yeah, I'm just pretend to be a superstar on TV. But would you ask where people follow me and stuff?
What you got going on? What people can look forward to, and where they can find you?
Yes, this is the year I call the year of show and tell. So this is gonna be another 30 minutes where I tell you about everything I got going on and what I'm a part of. So I'm gonna just shout out you,
Do it
Paula.
in, there's some people who listen to podcasts in times three, times four, so do it in the like highest speed, like.
Times three is crazy. Um, I'm just gonna shout out, all the spaces I'm in because that's what's important to me. This whole conversation is about community. So one, shout out to you, Paula. Appreciate you creating this platform. Shout out to Afros in Audio, a really, really amazing festival created for independent creatives. Got to speak last year. It's a really amazing
And you
space.
killed it. You're talking about storytelling. That was amazing storytelling on that stage.
Yes, yes. Shout out to my co-speaker, Chris Ward Jr. Shout out to Afros and well, shout out to them. Shout out to them again, but shout out to Black Podcaster Association. Shout out to Black Podcast Awards. Shout out to something I just joined called the Mosaic Collective. That's all around making sure that Black people are not, their content is not looked at as unsafe. There's this huge thing with creators not getting the same access to sponsorships and brand deals because AI and just a cultural misunderstanding leads a lot of people with the money to feel that, oh, if we sponsor this or do this, it's not going to look good for our brand. And that's just because they don't understand a lot of the cultural languages that's going on. So the Mosaic Collective just joined that. So I'll shout them out too. Shout out to the Black Podcast Club. I know it's coming back. That's what helped me get into podcasting.
Women of
Uh,
color.
Shout out Women in Color. Never been a part of that community, but love what they're doing. I know they just got bought out, or not bought out, but they just got just merged or whatever with
Yes,
a
big congratulations.
yeah, that's huge. I need to brush up on that. Shout out to LZ. She's over at Libsyn, a really amazing figure
Oh yeah, love
in the
her.
stuff. So I just told you I won't spend time telling y'all everything that I got going
Okay,
on. But you have to say
but a little bit on your upcoming podcast. Let people know about that.
yes, the Working While Black show. Technically, it's out already. It's just not the official launch. The trailer's out there, but the Working While Black show is basically a mixtape for your career growth. For people looking to explore entrepreneurship, trying to figure out like, yo, how do I take control of my own career? What direction do I go in? Yeah, we have a lot of great conversation. A lot of really dope episodes to launch. Some of the names we mentioned actually during this conversation are on the podcast. So,
Woohoo!
yeah, excited for y'all to see that launching this month.
I'm so excited and I can't wait to hear that. And where can people find you?
Everywhere. If you're watching this right now, listening to this, you can find me on the same exact platform. Look up Walter Gaynor the second. It's the Great Walt on all the social platforms. Heavy on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube, Boss Locks Media. You just search whatever and I'll be there. If you really want to, because I'm actually working on deplatforming myself. So creating, private spaces that aren't driven by the algorithm. So you could text me at 914-353-4176 to kind of get in that free. There are some paid things like a Patreon and stuff, but I'm just talking about just like being in community with people. And that's just like a, free 99. So 914-353-4176. Text me, don't call, text.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Walt, for hanging out with me. Now I gotta go. I kept the Obamas waiting for too long.
My bad, Michelle. My bad, Barack.
But
Appreciate
it
your
was so
patience.
nice, and I know we have so much amazing shit we're gonna be doing together. I'm looking forward to that, and I'll see you on the 29th, or
See
maybe
ya.
sooner.
Yes, all the above.